Hi, everybody. We're back. It's Lisa.
And Danielle. And we have got some special guests on today that we are super excited are here with us today. I have got Cait and Tyler with Balloons by Cait. So hello, guys, and welcome to the Life Agency podcast. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good. How are you?
We're good. So we're super excited to have you here. And I have watched your company grow. And well, I've known you, Cait, for some years now. And so I was ecstatic to see this company just all of a sudden happen. And so I would love to hear more about how this came a thing. Like, share with the listeners, like, what happened? How did you become stay-at-home mommy to business owner?
So right before I had my second child, we decided being a stay-at-home mom was what we wanted to do, or what I wanted to do. And then about a year into that, like I started losing my sanity, battling like postpartum depression, all of that. That was pretty rough. And then I was making not so pretty balloon garlands for my own kids and for friends' kids. And I figured, why not offer it to more than just like us and our close friends? So we started offering it to people in the neighborhood and just started growing from there. So
exciting.
Share,
When did you start?
Yeah.
How long ago? I'm sorry. How long ago did you start the company?
A little over a year ago.
Last October.
So it was right
That's
before
great.
our daughter's birthday, and that was kind of our first professional balloon garland that we did to offer. And yeah, it bloomed from there.
So without getting too personal, like, can you share a little bit about how you knew it was time to like do something, right? So on our show, we've talked a little bit about like self-care and understanding like when it's time to take care of ourselves and how we know, like Lisa and I talk a lot about like our own personal demons, I guess. Like we both have like major anxiety issues and we are both medicated for it and we talk about that. So when did you know that it was like really time for you to like kind of get outside of that and say like I need to do something for myself, and staying home maybe not the healthiest thing for me and I need to do something different? Like how long was it for you to like realize that you needed to maybe get back into the swing of things and find something that you were passionate about?
So I mean, postpartum hit pretty quickly, I feel like, with my second one. And then we talked about medication, and that just wasn't the right choice for me. And so I started working out with like group fitness classes. And I loved like the social interaction there, which is weird for me because I hate being social. And then it was like when the kids are sick or something, like it's just the kids and workout. Like that was my routine, and it gets old. And like I still love working out, but like I was craving something more, and like I'm a people pleaser. So like I want to be out there and like making other people happy. And we just figured like if like let's try something, and if it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere. Like it's nothing.
I think Cait was looking for more or less her contribution to our family that was outside of just watching the kids. And we talked a lot about, like, for me, since my job has always kind of held our family and allowed her to be a stay-at-home mom, I had told her that anything that I wanted her to do or that she wanted to do, I didn't care what it was, but it had to benefit our family in some way. So when she was a vet tech, it was really nice because our vet bills were free. So it's like, you need to find something like that, something to where, look, your pay, it's not really going to do much for us. Like it's great that you have it, but for me, I wanted her to contribute in a way that like, there's almost like two benefits, one for her own sanity and feeling like she's contributing, and then two, something else. Like realistically, I wanted her to find like a state job to where she could get like really good benefits and maybe work like part-time as like an admin or something for something in the like state benefits. So like in my we're two very different people, you know. I mean, I'm more business minded. I've been in business banking, and Cait is more, you know, I'd say what, like kind of like the artsy type. Like I have a very narrow, like super heavily focused kind of mindset, and Cait's more kind of, you know, so just trying to drill down like what she could do. And to be honest with you, I didn't even think that this was going to become what it was. I mean, our plan was, Cait had said, you know, it'd be great if I could just earn some extra income and maybe do like one or two of these a month.
I mean, based on what I see,
Gotcha.
you guys are killing it. And based on the clients that I've seen that you've taken, it's gone from like 0 to 100 in this last year, and it's been crazy successful. So, you know, I've been super proud of Cait and you guys as a whole to watch this thing happen. And I think it's so interesting that you say that you guys are kind of these two separate people. But Tyler, share a little bit more about like what your what's your role in this business venture?
Yeah, so I actually hate my role, kind of like joking, but I have to keep Cait focused from a business standpoint, and I have to keep reminding her that this is no longer like, it's not a hobby anymore. Like it hasn't been a hobby for like 8 months, and like it's really hard. So like let's go back to like the very beginning. Cait has no business experience, no, I don't want to say like professional experience because it's not really the right word, because professional could mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. But like she's not used to having to follow up on things and like do like all these different things that would be required to take a business. So what it's required me to do, and starting back, is trying to come up with ways to where like we don't necessarily fight, because it was getting really frustrating for me when I'm like, hey, like you have to follow up with this person. Like you can't just like, you know, like we uh, where it started is that we used to order all of our stuff from Amazon, and we've kind of gotten past that. But when you first start, you go like the Amazon route. You get these like really cheap balloons that smell terrible, but it's a way, like that's how you get off the ground. And what was driving me insane is that, so how our process works is when someone reaches out, we collect a deposit up front, then they have to pay us the rest a day or two before. But the deposit up front typically covers all of our cost of everything. Well, I'm sitting here on my computer and I'm seeing Amazon orders going through, and I'm like, hey, where's the money? Like, did they put down a deposit? And she's like, well, no, but they said they're going to. And I'm like, we don't have we don't have the deposit money. Like you're buying stuff without, you know, the money in. So I actually went on Etsy and had like these checklists made for her from the time that like somebody first reaches out. It has the entire step by step way. It has all their info for her to plug in. So I have to constantly come up with ways to kind of keep her. She's very good at doing the balloons, but keeping it to more of like what I call like a professional, honing it in from a professional side. Because I think a lot of times Cait kind of forgets that like this business is actually pretty large.
You're like
I'm
operation.
hoping
I
to not
love
even
it.
have to.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to like not even have to work in like another year or so, just because of like how well this business is doing. But it's like it's for me, it's really hard because it almost drives me crazy at times, but I almost have to remind myself that she doesn't have the business side. So like we're constantly like butting heads, because I'm like, you what? Like you can't be doing this. And like when we order our balloons online, like you have to do it in certain advance because of obviously like shipping times. And so like we're trying to like put in processes to where she puts her orders in every Sunday for that week, but there's times that like they can't come in, so like that drives us crazy because then we have to go double our order and buy it from a store that's local. There's like a bunch of like operational stuff like that drives me crazy. And then I do all of our books and all the finances and all that. So Cait actually has no idea how much money this business makes.
No,
That's
if I
okay.
could do it all for free, I probably would.
I wouldn't.
You know what's so cool?
I don't
You know,
pay
it's so
attention
cool.
to it.
Yeah, but what I can say is that, Cait was around in the beginning of one of my very first businesses, and I think that you have one of the best partners out there. And she stuck by till that very end part. And so she truly is like this ride or die kind of person. And so as a business partner, I think you truly have one of the best business partners to be stuck with. So I think that you have this like yin and yang kind of thing going on. And I know like all these years later, um, it- you know, I I have that like operational and all these things that I've got to do for business now. Um, but she'll get there, which is so cool. And you've got to be that one that
Oh
has to like
yeah.
really teach her these things. And she has to be the one that does all these crazy setups and ideas. And so she's the idea behind it. And you unfortunately have to be the business banker because that's what you're good at. So you got to
Yeah.
love it.
The funny thing is too is it kind of takes me back to my roots a lot of times, like from like the beginning part of my career, because like I'm having to teach her like basic sales stuff too.
It's
Like
horrible.
stuff that's like
I'm not a salesperson.
it's like stuff that's like it seems so like basic to me, but there's just like fundamentals in it, like when you're talking to people that I'm just like, no, look, like, and I'm trying to explain to her like this is why you do this way because people are more likely to go this way. It's just and it's stuff that's really like basic and stuff that I could probably just do. I do all the time without even thinking about it. But it's interesting when it comes up in our business now, and I'm having to almost train somebody on those type of things. And a lot of our big meetings, I actually kind of run.
Yeah.
So like when we have a like a larger client, I tend to do a lot more of the talking, while Cait will then once we go back, Cait will do all the designing and all of that. But when we have like a really like, we've had probably like 5 or 6 that I would say are pretty significant, like sized. I pretty much run those meetings for the most part, just because I know the balloon side of it now too. So it's pretty easy for me to. I'm a lot better at like talking to people and kind of selling that side of it. Where like Cait said, if she could do this all for free, she would do it all for free. So
I mean, I would do everything for free, which is why there's a nonprofit in my life now because I feel like giving away the world to the world. And so my poor husband is like, Dee, you cannot handle one more thing, but I'm going to do it. I know, Lisa, you laugh it because he's ready to murder me every day of my life.
Yeah.
So I
I
guess
get
you
it.
bring me to my next question, and I think Lisa and I are both like eager to know this. What have been your like funnest and most challenging setups to do so far? Like what do you love? What do you maybe not so love so much? Maybe not love so much, but what are the hardest or most challenging things for you guys? What do you find the most joy in? Yeah, like I guess kind of share a little bit of everything on the like Cait, you're mostly the design part. So what do you find the most joy in?
Um, I love when people like just kind of give me, even when they give me a budget, but they're like, I get like the freedom to design it. Because then I can throw in my backdrops. I can just kind of like get the balloons prepped, but like when I'm there putting them together, like I just kind of like I don't really have a plan when I'm putting them together sometimes. Like I just kind of like put them where I feel like it. And I feel like
Sure.
those are always the ones that turn out the best for me.
Mhm.
Um
So do you know
but
what
yeah,
the
I
house or
love
like venue is going to look like before? Like, do you guys do an on-site visit? Do you get pictures? Like, what does that pre-game look like?
typically smaller setups, they'll just tell me like this is the space. They'll typically send me a picture like of where it's going or like ideas. I'll ask for measurements just so I know like if we're doing backdrop boards, we can make sure those are going to fit. Um, or like venues, we typically like to go walk around the venue, or just bigger parties in general, when they're wanting something kind of everywhere, things here and there. we'll schedule meetings and go walk around, and that way we can take pictures and really look and see what we can do for those spaces.
So typically we do like a front to back evaluation because it allows us to propose the max and then kind of drill down to like what's important for them. So if it's a house, for example, we typically will start with the front, and Cait does custom acrylic signs as well that we typically put on an easel, and then balloons go around them. So it's like, okay, well, where do you want like the welcome sign? And then, maybe this archway has balloons, and then in the kitchen we have this, and then you go to like maybe it's the backyard that has like the wow piece or the main thing that they really want to focus on. Lately, like we've had like 3 people tell us that they want like Instagram worthy backdrops.
Yeah.
So they're like looking for that at the end. Like we just did a lady's 40th birthday party, and it was a whole house walkthrough. So it was the welcome sign in the front. She had an agenda for her party, so she was doing like a roaring 20s like speakeasy type like party. So she had an agenda when things were going to start. Then over one walkway there was just a simple arch over the walkway in the house. She put a floating arch. She didn't have any like teacup lights or anything over her island, so she put a floating arch over the island. She had a really nice cake that was made, and she wanted some kind of setup behind the cake, so we did a small setup behind the cake. Then you walk out to the backyard and there's the Instagram worthy backdrop that we did. So the other thing that like I try to do in these meetings is a lot of people think that they have ideas, but they can't conceptually like put it out, right? So they'll be like, oh, well, we want a backdrop. And it's like, okay, well, like, what do you want the backdrop for? Is there going to be a cake in front of it, or do you actually want people in front of it? Like, what do you want? Because a lot of people don't understand, like, one of our boards that we use a lot is 7 foot tall and 4 foot wide. You're not putting 6 people in front of that one board by itself. It's going to look dumb. So I also have to, a lot of what we have to do that I don't think a lot of people understand is that we want to post pictures of everything that we do. And when other people post pictures, we want to be proud of those pictures that they post. So a lot of times I try to tell people like, look, one board and a couple balloons, like unless you're having one person stand in front of it, like it's not going to look good. And they're going to be posting pictures and people are going to be like, I mean, it looks good, but like, 3 people are there and it has like all the negative space around it. You see like dog in the background in these pictures. And it's just like, it doesn't look good because every picture someone posts is our marketing. I mean, so we were just we had a meeting earlier this week with someone's wedding, and like I was having to tell them, I was like, like if you want a photo backdrop, it's especially for a wedding, it's probably gonna be like 12 feet wide. I mean, you need to have a combination of our boards and balloons that are massive enough that you can fit 5, 6, 7 people in front of without, catching negative space or the outside of it. So, we try to hone people in. Like, some people will just want it there because they want to put like a happy birthday sign, and they just almost want it to just be like a piece, not necessarily something that anybody stands in front of, but maybe it's in like the corner and it has one of our neon signs on it, and it's just kind of like a standout piece for their party. But it's trying to figure out really what people's visions are, and then making sure that it's also going to be like good marketing and look good for us too. Because you find out a lot of people just don't know. They don't know what they want. They do, but they don't at the same time.
That has
Sure.
got to be the
Sure.
hardest
That's
part.
where
I
her
think
creative side.
talking to me would be like talking to a lunatic. I would be like, I would like a big sign and a board. And well, this is like, we've been
And
talking
some
about,
balloons.
right. Hayden getting married has been like a nightmare for me because we have to do all the decorations for everything. And so I'm like, I have this big, huge backdrop of like, it's trees, right? Because she's getting married in this like meadow. And so I'm thinking, well, what in the freaking world do you put back here? And, so now you're left looking at all these things. And to your point, Tyler, it's like, okay, well, where do you put all of this? And a board that's like this big is only this big. And then the people that stand in front of it cover it up, or, so yeah.
Mhm.
And my brain doesn't work. I'm not creative. So I I'm very business. So my brain is like numbers and analytics and stuff. I'm not creative at all. So I am like talking to one of the trees out there trying to get anything out of me that's creative is worthless.
Yeah, and then the other thing is like a lot of people will use marquee letters or they'll use like like I said, like our neon signs and they want them on the boards. But like I have to tell people, like, if you're gonna stand in front of it, there's light coming behind people that are standing there. So you have to think about that. Like, are you sure you want this sign there? Because if it's too bright and you have people standing in front of it and you're taking a picture from this side, it's not gonna, it's not gonna turn out like you think it's going to. So there's just a lot of things that like, oh yeah, this looks great. We like this. And, just trying to change things that way.
Where do you guys store all this stuff? There's got to be like massive amounts of storage needed.
Well, I used to park in the garage, and that is no longer a thing.
Oh my gosh.
So
is your whole garage full of stuff?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Like I don't even have room to really like I used to have room to lay my boards down and actually like paint out there. And now it's like we have to pull it out into the driveway and paint in the driveway, and like everything has to be stacked a certain way. Our giant Barbie box, we have a huge Barbie box that you can like stand inside of to take pictures. That is on our back patio right now, covered in tarps because obviously
from Tessa's birthday.
Yeah, we put it out there for our daughter's birthday because she had to have the Barbie box. And then we added a lot more stuff to our garage, and we just can't fit anything else.
So do you guys repurpose things? Yeah, let's see.
Can you see that?
It's still, yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is the Barbie
so that's our
box.
Barbie box. So yeah, so it's 7 feet tall.
Okay.
It's 3 feet wide and 30 inches deep.
You guys, an entrance on either side, so where you get in there,
step right in over the.
Yeah, you just step in.
Okay, got it. Okay. Oh, cool.
So it's kind of like elevated inside.
Did you make that happy birthday sign in the back, or is that?
No, that's a neon sign. So we just buy those, and then we have a handful of neon signs, and then we can hang them really on any backdrop we have.
And then like up here, we customize this. So the name is always customized to whoever. So Cait prints that off in vinyl. So, if it was Danielle, we'd put Danielle up there. So there's a lot of things. The one thing that we won't do with our Barbie box is paint it because it is so massive. We will customize any of our backdrops except our Barbie box and our castle.
But there's like things you can do to customize it.
Yeah, that was my question. Do you guys repurpose like some of your backdrops and just repaint them and like customize them, or do you make whole new backdrops for people?
No, so like our boards, like the rounded arch top boards and the square boards, those we have used those countless times. We just repaint them, sand them down, doctor them up when they need to be, because we drop them and scratch them all the time. So just kind of repaint them and go from there.
So like these boards right here have been probably, God, I don't know, 20 different colors. So obviously they're black here, but we will paint these any color. Nice. It doesn't matter. We use really nice paint for them too, just so that they last. But obviously the more we paint them, the heavier they get. But this was from probably our largest setup. So, God, I don't even know how long this backdrop is. This backdrop's probably close to like 50 feet long.
Wow. How long did this take you?
So like Jamie's 50th.
Yeah, that was my question. How long does something like that take?
This was a 2-day setup that we did. So this is actually on top of the gun club that's in between Top Golf and Main Event in Gilbert.
Yes, we have a little rooftop area. I had 2 big setups that day or that weekend. So I think I was up for both setups, blowing up balloons for probably like 6 hours.
Is it just the two of you? You guys have an assistant?
No, he doesn't even blow up the balloons. He's not allowed to touch them.
Tyler.
He pops them.
Yeah. But so kind of going back to what I was saying, like Jamie's 50th is here. So the main point that where we wanted people to stand or where we were trying to get people to stand is actually in front of that gold shimmer wall. So that way, if somebody wanted to take pictures, this is for Jamie's 50th birthday party, you would see that off to the side, kind of over here. And then people would be standing like in this area so that you could capture the whole thing. And you would have to be standing almost on the other side to not get this entire backdrop like in the picture. And like that was a big thing for us. And this one had 2 different backdrops on it. So that was just one of the 2. So it was this one was insane, but this was a 2-day setup. So we brought all the boards and everything up. What was this? This was the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So
Black Friday
we built the gold shimmer wall, which this shimmer wall takes like an hour to 2 hours to build. It's 12-inch by 12-inch squares and it's 8 foot by 8 foot. So you have to hook all of them together onto a backdrop. So it takes quite a bit of time to build. But we did that, we built that, and then we went back Saturday, like afternoonish after our first setup, and built that. And just so you know, this was the first setup. So when she said we have 2 massive setups, this is our castle that we had made. So this was the first setup. So we did this one first thing in the morning for our first birthday party, and then had to go right to the next one and to the next one. But yeah, so my dad actually builds all our backdrops for us. So he completely built this castle and it completely comes apart. So every one of these pieces is all a piece. So these outside things can come off. So say someone just wanted like the middle section with the 2 tall beams and then this, they could do that. They could technically just do this middle if they wanted. But this piece with the L on it comes off, the top cone comes off, and then these are all pieces.
It's very cool.
Yeah, so lots of fun stuff. But yeah, we do repurpose our backdrops. We do repaint them, except for that castle and the Barbie box,
which we can add vinyl to.
Yeah, so the vinyl that was on that castle. So it's not just, we painted it gray so that it could be for boys or girls. So yeah, and Cait can put the vinyl. So all of that's on there is actually vinyl that
all the pink
Cait printed.
Banners and stuff. That's all vinyl work that I've cut.
Yeah, so that could be customized to whoever or whatever somebody wanted.
Okay, so I have to ask you, what are you cutting your vinyl with?
Yeah, go ahead.
What are you cutting vinyl with? You're cutting all of that vinyl with a Cricut?
Mm-hmm. I have the crazy. Cricut Maker 3. And it's doing a great job.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Did you have to teach
yourself? There's a new Cricut that we want to get, but it's so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of videos and stuff on YouTube, but once you kind of figure out like a couple different tricks, like you can do endless things with it. So they do have a new Cricut.
I'm super depressed because I'm recognizing now how uncreative and like artistically challenged I am with anything. Like,
so this one's cool because she did a lot of cutting on the Cricut for this one. So like this 3 is completely cut out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like the bigger pieces, like that 3, they're typically in like multiple pieces.
Oh, let me pull up the Haywards. Here, I'll show you one of probably the biggest and most challenging one that we had with the Cricut was our largest setup until that 50th birthday party. But this one was, a lot of people don't understand how much time goes into like the vinyl work itself and like what we have to do to make the vinyl.
Yeah, on this one we had 5 boards, but the vinyl, we had words like stretched across 3 of the boards. So we had to make sure everything was lining up perfectly to pull it off. or else it would look really funny.
Yeah, and you can't just like go out there with like a level and like make sure that it's lined up, because you learn really quick that although our garage might be level, or that we think it's level, other people's backyards or whatever they have may not be leveled.
You're gonna have to find like a straight on picture.
I think this other one is straight on. There you go. So, well, that's weird. Why does it show that? See that? Like learn more. What the hell?
Super cool.
Oh, here we are back to this one.
Very cool.
So this one, there it goes. Yeah, so this one was challenging because, sorry, let me pull that back up. This one was challenging because we had to set these boards up in our garage, and then we took painter's tape and put it across where we thought it was level. And then Cait marked, we marked like where the words were going to be to make it all centered. And yeah, this one was not fun. I mean, this one took us hours to get these words lined up and to do all this, and yeah, it was insane. I mean, this one was so challenging to do, and that's what a lot of people don't understand is like they don't understand the back end and how much work Cait puts in. Like she said, she blows up all the balloons on most setup weekends. She's up till like 2 or 3 in the morning the night before the setup, just blowing up all the balloons. And so, you know, people are like, oh yeah, it looks great. Wow, it's just balloons. And it's like, yeah, but you guys have no clue. Like, I mean, her hands go like numb after a while of like tying so many balloons and like doing all this that, you know, people will just never understand the back end side of it. And it's always funny when people try to do their own balloon garland. They're like, yeah, never again. I could never do that. It's like, yeah, imagine doing like
that's
10
how
of
a lot
them
of our
weekend.
calls start. They're like, so last year I tried this and this year I'm not doing it. We're like, we got
Okay,
you.
so I'm curious, like, when do you guys feel like, you know, Lisa's a business owner, I'm a business owner, and I know that, you know, I got to a point with a certain amount of clients that I was like, okay, I need help. And so I have a couple people that work for me and they do very specific things. And, you know, so you know, Cait, obviously, like I had a business before and, you know, it was multiple people that had to do multiple things for me. But with this one, it was like, I'm very independent. It was very independent for me up until a certain point. And so I knew that I needed someone to kind of manage my overall day-to-day things. Like they're more of a personal assistant to me, and then one person does recruiting for me. So I needed someone, and I knew when I needed that someone. So when do you guys think you're going to be to a point where you have to bring on that additional help to kind of help Cait? Because I think it's more in the field that you're going to need that help, maybe not like the management side, but in the field. So have you guys discussed what that looks like for the future since things have grown so large this last year?
Yeah, we've been talking about it recently. I have been lucky and I have a couple friends that on my nights where I am just like overwhelmed and swamped, like they will come over and either keep me company or sane while I'm doing stuff, or I've taught them how to do a couple things that they'll take over doing that. So we're definitely close to the point of actually hiring somebody on. I think since this was our first year, like we're trying to still figure out like slow season, super busy season. That way we can, let them know what they're signing up for.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we really only need help when it comes to blowing up the balloons and tying them. The setups, Cait pretty much just does from her mind, right? So I carry all the boards in, set them up, and then Cait puts the balloons on them however, you know, she either discussed or wants to do. It's more or less taking like, you know, like one person could take 3 hours off of Cait's blowing up the balloons the night before. Honestly, though, the hard thing for us is that one, this business doesn't take much in terms of startup. So one of my worries is because a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you just hire a high school kid and bring him in and teach him how to blow up balloons? Well, then the high school kid's going to realize really quick how much money we make and how relatively easy it is. Next thing you know, our next competitor is the kid that we just brought in that's, doing the exact same things. Now, maybe they can't do it as scale, and we're really lucky because, like I said, my dad builds our backdrops. So people are spending way more money on things than we ever will be. So am I really worried about competition? Not really. But the last thing I want is to bring someone in, give them a job, help them do all this. And the next thing you know, they're our competitor. And, it's like, oh, well, cool. And believe it or not, this business is pretty cutthroat. Like, it's actually kind of surprised me. There's a lot. The craziest thing in this whole business is how much people charge. Like, everyone wants to know what everyone charges. And it's kind of like this, like, I don't know if it's like the secret or what it is, but I can't tell you how many times we are knowingly being price shopped. And it's just like, I want to know which one of our competitors is doing it, because it's so like blatantly obvious that it's like, so we tend to start pricing out in broad pricing. Oh, the whole thing will be this much. Like, oh, well, would you please give me a breakdown of everything that you're going to be charging in that? It's like, okay, boards and backdrops this much, balloons this much. Like, that's just what it is. But it's really weird how cutthroat this business is, because at the end of the day, there's people that play nice in the sandbox. Like, Cait has plenty of friends in this industry.
Yeah, I've met some really great vendors, and like even other balloon artists. Like, I've made some really great friendships with them.
But then there's just other people that I think that they just don't want to see other people succeed. And a lot of times we don't even cross paths. Like, I like to say that we're kind of on the stage of doing a lot larger events in that. So it's like, if you want the little kid's first birthday party with 5 feet of balloons and that, like, that's fine. Like, we'll do those too, but we're not pricing just to win that one, so it's kind of interesting. It's a very unique and weird industry. I almost feel like it's dominated primarily by women, and there's so much like cattiness and like just like stuff where I'm like, I've never had to like hold my tongue and not post like so many times, because it's so hard now that we own a business that I just want to like go off on people like so many times, but we just like, we can't, because we have this business now, and like anything that we do or say can impact our business. But there's just like so much BS involved in some of this stuff that like we do as well. It's kind of weird.
As an independent myself, and I feel like I'm in an industry that's like, I could say my industry is pretty cutthroat also. What I can tell you is I think that you guys are going about things the right way. And I love, Cait, that you said that you've met plenty of people that you've made great friendships with, and continue to value those. And you guys will continue to do great things. It's interesting that being independent, like, I'll call this like independent, right? Even though you might have people that work for you and you'll grow, that you'll find that you guys are going to grow exponentially either way, and regardless of the competition that's out there. And I simply say that because of who you guys will continue to be. And I think your presence and demeanor in the community and what you guys have already done is going to kind of ring true. And I don't always think that our competition is out there doing the same thing simply by like price shopping. That's kind of setting them apart in a negative way sometimes versus what you guys are doing. I think that the continued positivity in the community is what you guys can push through and keep doing. And I know that you're going to continue to grow, because I know what that feels like, being in that like cutthroat business. Like I said, I know that what I do is the same. But the relationships I've built in, being a business coach and consultant in my industry, there are hundreds, there are thousands of us. And the relationships I've built with clients and other consultants are things that I would never, ever give away. Like, I love the relationships I've built and the person I've become because of it, and the friendships that I have. So continue doing what you're doing. And I think that you guys are going to grow no matter what. I know I'm going to keep sharing who you are and what you do because I love it. And I think Lisa's going to continue doing the same thing. I truly think I saw a setup of like a balloon garland the other day at a local shop right here by a coffee shop that I go to often. And I thought, like, wow, that looks nothing like what I've seen before. Thinking, I love yours. And I thought, I was like,
Yeah.
they were kind of like setting it up with like it looked to me, and I don't know anything about how these are set up. So it could have been normal, it could have not. But it was like they were like taping things together. And it was the weirdest thing to me because I was like, there's no way that that's going to like stay like that. Like it was just the weirdest thing to me. But it was, it just didn't look amazing. And I was like, I've seen amazing before. And so I want you to know that what you guys are doing truly does stand out, and it stands out to people like me that know nothing about it. So I am like a completely kind of non-biased like opinion. And so keep doing what you're doing because it truly is amazing, and keep being the people that you are because that's what's going to make the difference, and it truly will. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because we see a lot of people's setups all the time, and like it's easy for us to tell like who did their own or who doesn't really know. Like, I mean, this is a pretty good example. This
You guys,
was like
if I
one of
did it, it
This
would
is
look
like my first.
mine would look like boobies with nipples because I don't even know how to blow up a balloon the right way.
You would have it reversed.
It would look so
Let me see if
bad.
this will show. So this is like one of Cait's like first balloon garlands. So this is what you're going to see a lot. Like this is someone who doesn't really know like what they're doing or what this really is. Like it's
Okay,
kind
but
of
it's
crazy.
not
And this was for
terrible.
Keeson's first birthday?
It's
It is
not. I
terrible
think
though.
I don't think it is. I
Okay,
think
so
it's
like
really cute. I like
there's
that.
that.
Other ones that are
And this was for a Bluey birthday party, so that was for Keeson's first birthday. And then you go to like something like this is probably one of my favorite setups. Like this, and then you go to like something like this. So like this one's cool because you can see like this was at the Arizona Science Center, and like Cait made it to where the balloons look like they're bubbling out of these beakers. So, this is like small details that the biggest thing for us is actually in the small details. Like, I can't tell you how many times like we see setups where like people will use neon signs and like they don't even care enough to hide the strings or like the cords. Like every neon sign has a cord attached to it. It has to be plugged in. Like everyone gets it. But like there's little things you can do like this where we take black duct tape and literally tape across that to hide that cord as much as possible across there, because people will literally have this cord just like hanging down to the bottom, and I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing?
So
Like, what? Like,
I love
it's
that.
so.
What was that for? I love that setup.
That was for a 40th?
Yeah, 40th. Sorry,
40th birthday. It was for somebody's husband, and so they obviously didn't want like your typical like girly setup. So we went with whiskey bottles. She changed it to a whiskey themed party. So we found some whiskey bottles that say aged to perfection and made it manly.
I love that.
Okay,
Yeah,
are you able to share
the other side?
Are you able to share who does your neon signs? Like where you prefer to get your neon signs from? I know that that's like a huge thing.
Find them.
So I'm not going to tell you the secret of where we find them like heavily discounted, because then that ruins our like leg up and it'll be a lot harder for us to get.
We just keep our eye open though, honestly. Sometimes like people on like wedding sites will have like some pretty signs there and they buy them for their weddings and they resell them. So like we honestly like, I think a handful of our signs are just secondhand signs.
Danielle, we can text you afterwards and let you know where we get them for like super cheap.
Lisa and I are huge Etsy fans. And so we get these we get pretty much everything that we ever want for everything, like podcast stuff and everything from Etsy. So we're huge Etsy fans. We love people that go on Etsy because we want to support businesses. So that's why I was curious, like, do you prefer to support like business people through Etsy, or do you find them in other ways?
If we need like a personalized sign, like somebody is getting married and they want us to find them like their last name, then we would use Etsy and go through them for like this sign.
We also have some local vendors in our neighborhood that make like wood signs and stuff like that we use.
We are very lucky with our neighborhood. I mean, I feel like our neighborhood has somebody for everything in it. So we get to support a lot of small shops that way. But our just like generic signs, we just kind of, when we see them, we get them. So they're kind of everywhere.
Yeah, the neon signs, like we have this one too. This one's kind of cool. These are just sunglasses that we never thought we would ever use, and then somebody wanted a, I don't know, what is that, beach Barbie or Malibu Barbie. So they're like sunglasses that have like a little shark fin.
Yeah, I was really excited when I actually got to use those because I bought them.
But it's like,
not
you can
thinking we would ever get to use
like,
them. But
you can barely see the cord right here. But on this case, Cait wrapped this cord with a pink balloon. Like
so smart.
And then it comes all the way over here and it runs up the side and it goes out the back. So like,
wow.
There's just things like this, and then, like, I'm not even joking. People, you're gonna notice this now when you see other people's things. It drives me nuts. This cord will just be like hanging down here, and I'm just like, it's not that hard. Like it's really not that hard. Like, so it's crazy to me how much of like a lack of detail that people actually like do, I guess, for these things. But I also think that that's what sets us apart, and that's why we, and like a lot of times when Cait's setting up, I'm the one standing there like, hey, there's a hole there, like we need to fill, because the first part is you put the main balloons up and then you kind of go back through, and like, this is a good one to show for Phil.
You go back through with like littler balloons.
You go back through with like littler clusters or that. So like, you start with where all these big balloons are, and then without these little clusters kind of in here, and you attach this and you attach that. Then you have to kind of go through and make sure that there's no holes. Like the last thing you want is for someone to see this back wall through like the middle of the garland. So you have to kind of go back through, and like, we have this chair, so this chair is ours. This is all vinyl. I mean, these are just our different backdrops and just a different color, but this is obviously for a baby shower. So.
Yeah, that's the color of the boards on this one are kind of like our main color. Like that's your standard color board, and then you customize from that. So if people want them like painted or something, if they don't, they're just this neutral color.
Wish I had more.
Really like that one.
I can't get into our Instagram from here.
Mm-hmm.
Our Instagram has so many like
go
better
to the
things.
5.
The what?
The mosaic, the 5.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Oh.
So these are, earlier when you were asking me like our least favorite things to do, it's got to be this thing right here.
This was for Kessa's birthday.
They take forever. And I probably come up with new cuss words every time I do these. Because they're horrible. But I love, like, they're pretty. So, like, I always say, like, I'm not going to offer them. Or, like, if somebody asks for one, like, I'm not going to do it. But, like, I never put up a fight either. They're like, I want this. And I'm like, oh, you got it. I'm like, okay. And then I start doing them.
We're coming up
like,
on year 3. So we might need to do a photo shoot with a Mosaic 3 for the podcast. So I'm just saying, like, it might be a thing. It might be a thing.
We'll help you.
You say that until you start doing it.
Yeah, I will do it, but I will be yelling and whining about it.
We are super supportive.
This one was kind of cool. So we set this up last minute outside our house for Halloween, so people could take pictures. And like you can see over here in the comments, this is someone who took a picture with it, that commented their picture with it. They just posted it. Mm-hmm. But we set these up so that kids could just stop in front of our house and take pictures, but we literally did this, I don't know what, 2 hours before like people started trick-or-treating. Like you can see she made a little, this is a cauldron that's made out of balloons. I don't know how much I can zoom in.
Oh yeah, I can see it there.
Like
That
this is a
spider.
cauldron. Yes,
Yeah,
the
Spider
spider.
is so cool.
Yeah, and then I mean all of this is obviously vinyl, and she created all the little cuts and the
Vinyl
things
and just random stuff we had hanging around the house. I grabbed like the cheesecloth was like part of our actual house decor, and I was like, it's okay, we'll just move it.
That's great. So
yeah, so I
so
mean there's just a
creative.
lot of cool. This one was cool. So this was, you want to talk about like creative, like we priced this one particularly out and had no clue how we were going to do it. And then I'll never forget this one because the lady was like, okay, let's do this. And Cait looked at me and said, oh shit, what are we going to do? Because we had no clue, and it actually turned out to be probably our best one. But the Mickey Mouse. So I've seen a lot of people do Mickey
Aw.
Mouse heads, and I'm going to be honest, they look like shit.
I really like this.
So I
saw
was
this
almost
one.
like, this one I was like hyper OCD about making sure the ears actually looked like ears. As you know, our family's a pretty big Disney family. We go to Disneyland. We go to Disney. We just got back from Disneyland. We go to Disney World a lot. It's very, very, very hard to get the shape in these balloons and fill them. It would have been easier if she didn't want balloons filled inside the ears, because then you can kind of maneuver the outside balloons to kind of get a better shape. Yes, this one turned out a lot better than we were expecting, but we were very scared. I mean,
And it took me, I mean, it was trial and error for a minute there. And actually, one of the balloon artists close to us that I've befriended helped my sanity on this one, because I was venting to her the whole time and texting her. And then she was finally like, okay, I have an idea. Just try this. And it ended up working for the frame of those ears. So that was huge, just having somebody in my corner, that like another vendor that I could rely on to.
Yeah,
Did
that's
you-
amazing.
did you book another one of these already?
No.
Oh.
So what, like, kind of like in, sort of closing up a little bit, how to give listeners just a idea, like, what would you say, and I know that it's so difficult to do this, I can't even do it for myself. What would you say the ballpark range is when someone wants to hire a balloon artist for a project? Like, I know that this can be very difficult, but like when and if someone wants to call for just a general birthday party for a child, like what's a ballpark range that we're looking for, or that we're looking at when we hire someone like your company to come and do just like a birthday party for us?
I would say the average is probably between like 300 to 500 for just like a smaller backdrop or something like that. Yeah, like 300 to 500.
Yeah.
That's like super
Then you have,
reasonable. I
like-
love that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Then you
we're
have
getting all
parties like
the
this, though.
yeah, the cute backdrop, the balloons.
Yeah,
I
so
love
then you
that.
have people who will go like fully customized like this. So like that actually has, that's a legit door that we, customize and then, do all this. But all, like Cait was saying, all that is vinyl. I mean, so everything in there is all vinyl work, and being able to do that with vinyl and then the balloons. So yeah, anywhere, I mean, it's really endless. And that's kind of what's hard is that it depends on how much people want to spend on something like this, and then where they want it. Like, do they want a whole house? Like that Mickey one was interesting because they did a sign, they did some over the island, and then they did the Mickey head as well. So like you're talking like, I mean, there's a lot involved in that. I mean, their island one alone is pretty significant as well. This is what's over their island. So they had that huge Mickey, then this over the island. So over the island is actually becoming really popular. It's a way to get a lot of balloon decorations and kind of be like out of the way at the same time. And then that just like, this is their sign that they did. It's like you can see there's like a welcome sign. This is really popular. But yeah, I'd say on average we're probably around. Our goal is to be around a $500 average, but we're probably between. Yeah, for a basic party, anyway, like Cait said, 300 to 500, and then you have your people who go pretty crazy.
Customized.
And basic parties can also include, basic party will also include like baby shower, bridal shower. Those are really popular. A lot of people do like, I'd say one of the biggest things that we were shocked by that we weren't expecting and was massive is graduation season, which, holy cow, May was insane.
It was fun and stressful.
We weren't expecting it though. That's what's crazy. Like we didn't think, like, because the biggest things, I'd say probably the biggest one is baby showers and bridal showers, which are great because those are typically on Sundays, which are good. Then birthday parties, etc. But then you have like May hit and all these people were reaching out for graduations that we didn't even think of. So like you have a backdrop like this where this kid's going to Clemson, and like when you talk about like little details, so this one was actually really cool and something I'm really proud of. These colors that are painted on this, they're the actual Clemson colors. So we were able to find online the Sherwin-Williams paint colors that Clemson uses for their colors, and we went and purchased those and painted these boards, the actual Clemson colors. So like, that's just like cool. A little detail that it's like, I mean, and by the way, the sun kills balloons, so we were very scared about this setup because when it's hot, May, it's like already like 105 here, the sun will start just destroying these balloons. And luckily for us, this particular setup, we didn't lose any balloons, so that was good. But yeah, graduation season, we're going to focus a lot more this year. And we have one high school here locally that uses us for all their events. So we did their graduation ceremony last year, and they're supposed to be going even bigger this year. So we did their graduation. We've done their homecoming. We reached out for prom, but I think they're going offsite for prom. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what that's going to look like, but we know they want to go bigger for graduation. But that shocked us. I mean, if we would have spent a day or two trying to plan and like business develop around more graduations, it would have been massive. I mean, I don't think May was our biggest month, but it was pretty close.
So for everyone locally and businesses locally to reach out to you guys and like put in an inquiry, how do they go about doing that? Is it through Instagram? Do you guys have like a form that they fill out from your website? Like what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
So we're working on getting like an inquiry form up for people and like a website and stuff going. But for right now, Facebook and Instagram are just send me a message on there. And
Balloons by Cait Weibel for both. Yeah, I want to get a really, so what's hard for me is that I don't like half-ass things. And like, if I'm going to have a website made, like I want a really good website made. So like we're talking to a bunch of different people about getting a website made, because what we found out is a lot more like corporate events will just Google and look for a website. So the secret to unlocking like corporate events is actually having a website. They could care less about social media. So we've been really successful through Cait's Instagram. Like I think organically she's up to like 974 followers on Instagram in about a year, which is just all organic growth, which has been great.
Okay, so let's get her to
we're trying to unlock more of those.
Yeah,
that's our next goal.
That's not a problem.
Yeah,
we'll make that happen.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's all. Like, I mean, what I really want to do, like, if we get to a point to where like I can stop working, is my goal is to just business develop, go more corporations, schools. If I could just get like 5 high schools to use us for everything, we could double business easily. Like easily. Like homecomings alone are insane. Like Campo Verde is who uses us. So Campo Verde High, I've got really lucky. One of my good friends is an assistant principal there. So they started with using us for their graduation. And then like we did their homecoming, which was neon themed, and it was insane. How many feet of balloons was it?
Like 60.
I think it was like 65, wasn't it? 65, 70 feet of balloons over. They had this arch.
It was a lot.
But yeah, it was all like neon outdoor. Oh, here it is. But yeah, if I could just focus on like schools and businesses and let me go out there and just business develop this, it would be fantastic. But
It's cool.
yeah, that one was hard because that thing is it's like 15 feet tall.
I found a new fear of heights on ladders.
Yeah, that would freak me out too. It's pretty high up there.
Well, we
Huh.
got
I
there.
climbed up the ladder and I was like, oh.
Well, we got
Mhm.
there and we are like, hey, like, you know, do you guys have a ladder that we could use? And my friend's wife was like, well, yeah, we have a 10-foot and a 12-foot and all this and that. And I left it out for you guys. So we're like, okay, so we get there and no one's there yet. So we're like looking for the ladder and like we find this ladder and I set it up and apparently it was the 10-foot one. And I'm like, there ain't no way. Like, I mean, I'm only 5'7", and like I'm at the very like the top edge of the ladder, like standing up there trying to hook these top of these balloons up there, and I'm like, we need a bigger ladder. Like, there's just no way. And luckily, they had their 12-foot ladder. But yeah, it was pretty crazy.
We're going to try to get you guys to a place where you can eventually get, what are those things called? I think the fire department uses them, and
Yeah,
electrical line workers with the bucket, the bucket
cherry
that
picker.
brings you up. That's
Yeah.
it. That's what I'm
You
talking
know what's
about.
funny is
That's what you need.
they actually had one, and when we did the
Uh-huh.
graduation setup, they were like, "Oh, you guys could have just used that." Thanks.
Yeah,
Oh,
thanks. Good to know.
But like, so like one thing that's crazy that I told them that like I would have wanted to do. So like we walk the school. This was done by their student council, and we walked the school with them. But this like Ramada right here was lined with lights all the way down it. It was a pretty good like sized Ramada, and there's all these beams that are inside there. I told them, I'm like, look, if you guys ever do a glow in the dark one again, we're putting all glow in the dark balloons across every one of these beams inside here, and we're changing all the light bulbs to black lights. And like that would have been so cool to walk through. I mean, that Ramada is probably it's big. It's probably like 50, 75 feet like long, lined with those like industrial lights. I'm like, man, we could have changed all the light bulbs to black lights and lined all those beams with fluorescent balloons, and that would have just looked amazing. And like they're like, oh yeah, it's a really good idea. I was like, yeah, so next time. But I mean, it turned out really good. They had a great time. This was outside, so another one that's hot. But like when we got here, we had to wait for the sun to hide behind the building so that we could put this up. These beams were hot as hell, so we had to take tape and wrap the beams with tape first, then tie our balloons to it. So just a lot of like simple tricks.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well,
Well,
that's
we are
cool. You guys are doing a
super-
great thing. I think.
Yeah. We are super, super
I think
excited
you're
for
going to
you
be very
guys.
successful. Yeah, it looks fantastic. And what I hear is between just word of mouth and just seeing what you're doing for everybody listening. If you're not watching this on YouTube, as he was talking, he was showing us pictures. So try to get up on YouTube and take a look at this and see the examples he's talking about. Or if you're just listening, go to their website or their Instagram page, not your website, I'm sorry, your Instagram page or your Facebook, and look at the photos. And that's going to speak for itself, really. And word of mouth, Cait, it sounds like you've got great connections with other businesses that do similar things and friends that are there to help you. We're always here to help you. It just sounds like you're great at making connections with people and building that reputation. And in the end, that's really going to speak higher than anybody who's just price shopping or whatever, because they want that someone who they can really tell they're putting their full care and creative side. I mean, you're incredibly creative, and that's just so impressive. And anyone that sees that that's gonna carry you so high. And I'm so excited for you both. You're doing a great job, and we can't wait to use you. We've been talking about this for a while, about doing some sort of party or photos taken or something for this podcast. And she had mentioned you from the get-go, so we know we're going to do that. So we'll get with you on that at some point. But
we'll be waiting.
yeah, we're very excited for you both, and you're doing a great job, and I'm very impressed. Very impressed.
Yeah,
So-
January, and like we're already starting the next year with like huge bookings for January. Like we're almost
Mhm.
booked all the way out through January, and it's gonna probably every month is just becoming like a record-setting month, but it's also crazy because at the same time it's like, oh well, we don't really have much booked for February yet. Then it'll be like 1 week into January, and February will already start getting booked out. So we've been
And that's how
very
business goes. That's how it
yeah.
goes. You're just never prepared for, you never know what's coming around the corner. That's what's exciting about it. But it's, it's those growing pains.
Yep.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
So
the counselor and the counselor and the coach in me wants to say enjoy the ride and enjoy each other through this
Yeah.
whole thing. And
Yeah.
when it's time to bring on the support, I think, and don't overlook that
Mhm.
time, because you'll find yourselves in this like going after each other point where you're like, oh, I hate you and I hate you and I hate you. And don't get there
every day.
because yeah, but don't get there because this is such a cool thing, I think, for the both of you, and you've made it so far already. And we are truly inspired and so proud of you. And we're excited to see where this next year takes you. I'm excited to see, and I am just a huge supporter of the both of you, and Cait, you especially. I'm so proud of where you've come. This is just so cool. And yes, so everyone go to Balloons by Cait Weibel. I think you can find this right now on Instagram and Facebook. Like it, love it,
Yep.
share it. Reach out to them, use them for services, for balloon garlands. You're going to love them. And for us, we will be back with you guys in just a few weeks. You will hear this episode and you will see us posting all about Balloons by Cait for this next few weeks. Reach out to us if you'd like to get a hold of them for any reason or see fun photos of them. And reach out to us with any inspiring stories that you would like us to share. And again, we will be back with you shortly. And until next time, goodbye, everyone, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.